Does the month that you produce matter? Does the month that you release matter? Does the month that you pitch labels matter? Yes, yes, and yes. And we have the data. I couldn't find any videos on YouTube talking about this. What is your schedule and your strategy for the timeline of the musical year? We're going to talk about that today so that you can get the best results. If you don't know, I'm Justin. I run Cosmic Academy. We're an artist development school, and we've been around now for over 12 years. We've worked with over 800 incredible students, and our students, they get the best results. They sign to the biggest labels like Defected, Toolroom, Anjuna, Armada, Monstercat. They play the biggest shows like Ultra, Tomorrowland. We said 4 students play EDC. And it's from these students that we're able to collect so much data. Those that don't know, Cosmic Academy, our program, is a lifetime program. So we're able to see what works and doesn't over a long period of time. We track everything, and the data we get from our students tells us that there are certain months that are better than others for different things. And you should plan your year accordingly. Last year, our students had 447 records signed. So that's thousands and thousands of records over the last 12 years, and we can look at the data there. We've had thousands and thousands of gigs played by our students, and again, lots of data that we track there. So first thing we're going to talk about is the worst times of the year, the worst months for pitching labels or releasing music. End of November and all of December, most of March, and some of October. So first, let's talk about the end of November through December. There, we see some of the lowest traction. First of all, the end of the year always has the highest amount of releases. So labels, playlisters, everyone else connected to the releasing of music, they're looking at all the records coming out and working on that. And you'd be competing with the most amount of music and fighting for that limited attention. Another thing to consider is the holiday season. So the holiday season in the music world is extremely slow, especially with the corporate music world. A lot of industries actually have their biggest time of the year is the holiday season. And they make tons of money for holiday sales and Christmas shopping. You'll find that a lot of corporate music folks that work at companies, they're out of the office because music people typically take their vacation at that time of the year. In most industries, they take vacation in the summer. But no, the summer is like the busy season for music. So pitching labels or playlists or artist support, from Thanksgiving to like New Year's, probably not the most ideal. And of course, you can still do well in those months and get label signings in those months, but consider those factors. Another time of year that's not great would be most of the month of March. In March, you have a few major events that cause people in the industry to be away from their office and not checking their email. The first one is South by Southwest. So South by Southwest is the first or second week of March. And then you have Miami Music Week, which is the third or fourth week of March. There's also Ultra at that time and Beyond Wonderland. These are 2 massive festivals. So artists that you're like pitching for support, they might be busy. Or the labels that you're pitching, right? They might be really busy because they have a huge event during my music week. And the playlisters and the music influencers and those folks, they're going to be attending a lot of those events. And the same goes for any other large networking events throughout the year. Obviously, this is dependent on your genre. Like in mid to late October, there's the Amsterdam Dance Event. We call this ADE. If you're making trance or techno or certain kinds of house music, the people on that side of the industry are going to be focused on those weeks on ADE. So you want to take a look at the calendar and be more strategic about how you plan things around those events. Let's talk about another factor, your competition. So I mentioned earlier that Q4, the end of the year, those final few months, that's when the most amount of music is released. So you would have the most competition if you put out your record at that time. Another thing people need to consider is the early part of the year. We see this at our school, and we see this with our applicants. We call it the New Year's resolution phenomenon. Our school sells out 6 months in advance for the classes that start the new year. They're the most in demand because it's like, new year, new me. And people have that huge goal, that huge, resolution. They're going to start out the year making music. I've mentioned our program and our students quite a bit so far. If you're a bit curious about that and you need help and you want to take your career to the next level, regardless of the month, we do personalized development. It's very hands-on. We have a lifetime community with tons of results. I'll leave a link below in the comments to apply. But yeah, we get get this huge influx of people at the beginning of the year. And so do gyms and personal trainers and hobbyists. But then February comes and there's a bit of a lull. You can actually look at gym data. Gyms are packed on January 2nd, but by February, they're empty. Yeah, February is actually a great time for you. The folks that go hard in January, they made their resolution. A lot of them have slowed down that pace by February. I used to do big sold out concerts in February. I was in New York City, and my critics would say, but Justin, isn't February a bad month to do shows? It's New York, it's freezing, right? Why would you do February? Well, most people, they have the free time by then. They're sitting at home, they've given up on their new hobby that they started in January, and also my competition was minimal. The attention potential was huge. So you want to think about human behavior in this way. The next thing to take into consideration, getting artist support, radio play, playlist support. Now look, a lot of people believe that the summer is the best time for this type of music to shine. People are out, they're at the club, they're at festivals, they're at the beach listening to the radio. That doesn't mean you should go all in on the summer, because the songs that you hear that are getting big in the summer, that cycle actually started in late March and early April. Now, we talk a lot about festival season. If you don't know, festival season, that's summer, right? But the artists that are playing festivals, their set, they kind of determine earlier on, and then it won't change much throughout the summer. Now, the songs that they pick, that they're testing out at Ultra and Coachella, late March, early April, those will be quite similar to the songs that are in their set at some festival in July. Meaning you'd want to get your finished music to them before all that. So if you just made the summer anthem, sending that to an artist or a playlister, or to a radio show, if you're sending that to them in July, it's kind of useless. Now, these folks, they're playing music that was supported initially in March, in April, in May. And then it grew momentum, and then by the summer, it's everywhere. You can also take a look at your schedule, and when you play a lot of shows or when you're extremely busy, say, okay, I have a full summer of gigs. I'm not gonna have tons of time to be making the music in the summer. And then maybe you carve out a few months where, that's studio time for me. That's another way to look at this. Now, I have a lot of students that are on tour, or have certain busy seasons with their job, and this is quite common. You can't expect to have every single month be the exact same amount of output with your productions. So it's not just about when you're pitching the music, when you're releasing the music, when you're getting it supported, but also when you're making the music. And it's totally normal. Most artists that you look up to will not do the exact same amount of effort in their music production each month of the year. They're going to have months where they're on tour or busy with other things, and they're going to put aside certain times, certain months for studio time to make the album, to make their songs. You don't see it that way because we just see the music come out at other times. So you should sit down with a calendar and really start plotting out your musical timeline. If you want to get on a label, start thinking backwards. Well, first of all, if the song gets signed to a label, they're not going to put it out immediately. They might take a few months for it to get out. So if you're targeting a July release, okay, the label's going to take a few months. You got to get it signed by the label. You have to finish the song. Start thinking about this in some sort of order. And then looking at those yearly events that impact your genre and making sure that there's the attention, there's the availability, and that folks are going to be around when you send them the music. So keeping all this in mind is going to really help you strategize your year. Now, if you're sitting there and you're just saying, Justin, this is great, but I really need help with the implementation or the production, well, we have hundreds of videos on YouTube about every topic in music production, music marketing, signing records, all that great stuff. I'm going to let the algorithm decide which one's right for you, and that's going to pop up right here next. So we'll see you in that one.